activity 7.5. Activity 7.5. Activity 7.5. I'm just sharing my screen with you guys. Okay. Yeah, now you should be able to see my screen. So let's get into it. Okay, there we go. Just beginning to wonder what happened. All right, so question 7.5 in your textbooks. Let's quickly run through it and see what's going on over there. Okay, so I quickly like to just go to the required. I don't know if I heard something there in the chat. Okay, no, nothing there in the chat. Cool. Just see some people are joining us. That's good. Welcome, welcome. All right, cool. So guys, if you have any questions or thoughts, please just feel free to switch on your mic, because chances are I won't hear you as I'm talking, because chances are I'll probably be talking over that notification sound. But cool, let's jump into it. Right. So under the required, it says complete the missing figures in the following accounts in the ledger of Goodwood Company. General ledger of Goodwood Company. All right. There you can see we have the materials control. We have the production control, which is pretty much the same as your work in progress account. Finished goods account, nothing new there. Labor control, same as your labor account. Factory overhead control, which is the same as your manufacturing overheads account. And then your cost of sales, which is not brand new to us. We're quite familiar with that one. Okay, so let's see what else is going on in the question. We see Goodwood Company has provided the following information for the third quarter of 2011. 1 July to 30 September 2011. Work in progress balances on 1 July. Okay, so work in progress, remember I said work in progress is the same as your production account. So if this is 1 July work in progress balances, then this is then your opening balances for your production or work in progress account. And then cost incurred and other data for the third quarter. Okay, so these are costs that are actually incurred for each respective job in relation to material costs, labor costs, machine hours. Okay. All right, so we'll probably take a look at that a bit later. Okay. Then we go to factory overheads are applied to jobs based on machine hours. Okay, so right now I'm actually circling and highlighting that machine hours. Okay, because that is the basis on which overheads are applied. Okay. All right, cool. Then it goes on to say budgeted overheads were 800, okay, rand, 800,000 rand, sorry. So we have our budgeted overheads. Let's see if I can squeeze this in somewhere here. So our base is, what is it? It is machine hours. Okay, and then what else? What are the key information? Budgeted overheads is our 800,000. Okay, and then we also have your machine hours. This is your budgeted machine hours. Let me actually write that. in hours, okay, is the 100,000 hours. Okay, so already we can calculate our rate, okay, our absorption rate, okay, because we know to get our absorption rate, we're saying the budgeted overhead divided by the base, okay. So here, 100,000 divided by 8, so just going to do this absorb. I want it all to be in one line if possible. Okay, maybe that is wishful thinking. Okay, absorption rate is then obviously 800 divided by 100 will give you, so that's 8 Rand per machine hour. Okay, per machine hour. Okay, so we have our absorption rate. Cool. Let's proceed. Materials purchased during the period, 13,000. Okay, so we purchased 13,000. Okay, this amount includes both the direct and indirect material. Okay, so we're probably going to use this in the material account somewhere. All right, then actual factory overheads for the period were as follows. So these are the actual. Okay, remember here up here we have our budgeted. Okay, but now we're going to need the actual to see whether we over or under applied. Okay, so we have indirect materials 350, indirect labor 250, 2,500, depreciation on equipment 1,200. Then we have other overheads, okay, 190. Okay, then they tell us that project Greenwood 50 units. Okay, so that project we made 50 units. Project Northwood 100 units. Project Southwood 100 units were completed and sold as follows. Okay, so all units were sold at cost plus 50% markup. Okay, then Northwood 95 units were sold at 35 Rand per unit. Okay, then we have Southwood. All units were sold at cost plus 30% markup. Okay, right. What I've done there is I've just written close to them the total number of units produced. And then, yeah, I've proceeded on from there. Anyway, cool. Let's go on. Then the last thing they let us know is they say over and under applied overheads are written off to cost of sales. Okay, right. And then again, they're under the required, they're asking us to complete the figures, the missing figures, okay, in the following accounts in the ledger of Goodwood Company. Okay. So we already have our materials control in front of us. We had 0 for opening balance, okay. Then here on the debit side, you can see purchases, okay. Now if we scroll up into our question, they told us that materials purchased during the period is 13,000, okay. So here we can quickly just plug in that 13,000. That's how much we purchased during the period, all right, for materials, both indirect and direct. Cool, that's awesome. Then we move on, we go to the credit side, and then we say, okay, production. This is the same, remember, this is the same as work in progress. So I'm just going to quickly write /WIP. Maybe I'll just put a dot there. Okay, cool. Now, how do we calculate this? We have to now go to the table that they gave us, the first table. It says costs incurred and other data for the third quarter. And can you see we're in the material control account? So the only production that we're interested here is that which relates to material. So that first column, you see there, job, okay? And there you have Greenwood, Northwood, Southwood, Westwood. Okay. Then you have material costs. Okay. So we then want to add all those up. So let's quickly do that then. So here we have 750 plus 240 plus 5,400 plus 2,150. Okay. Right. Yeah. So then when you add that up, let's quickly see. What total are we going to get? Okay, right, here we are. So let me, yeah, just want to move that there. Okay, so 5,400 plus 2,150 plus 240 plus 750. Okay, so that's how much we are going to put under the production for materials control. Okay, 8,500. Can you see that column is materials cost? So that's all we're interested over there. Okay, then we go to your factory overheads. Okay, this next line here. Again, we're saying, okay, what do we put in there? We go to the actual factory overheads. And there you can see the only thing that pertains to materials is your indirect materials. Okay, so there we just plug in the 350. Okay, all right, so now we have all the information, all right, pertaining to the missing pieces or the missing slots. All right, then obviously we need to then total. So here we can already see that this side is bigger. Is it bigger? Nope. Nope, it's not bigger. All right, but we can double check that. Okay, fortunately we have calculators for that. So 8,540 plus 350 plus 4,110. Okay. Okay, so we get 13,000 both sides. Okay, yes, because this is balance carried down, my bad. All right, so yeah, you can see this credit side is smaller because it's just those two amounts. All right, and then here you can see this is 13,000. So yeah, we're just going to plug in that 13,000. We didn't actually need to calculate. I accidentally was including this carried down, balance carried down. Okay, you can see that these two amounts are less than the 13,000 over here. Okay, so then we are done with your material control account. We can then move on to your production control. Okay, in the production control, can you see we had this entry here, production here, under material control, so we can actually then just complete that double entry and put the 350 over here. Some quick wins there. Sorry, that wasn't 350. I'm mixing things up. That is actually 8,500. You see there, 8,540. 8,540. Okay, right. Coolio. So we've done that. That's cool. Then after that, after we've plugged that in, now we look production control. Okay, so production control, we know that we have labor control that we need to plug in there. Okay, so we flip back the page and we look under your, again, that table, costs incurred and other data for the third quarter. We were incurring these costs in order to do what? In order to produce. These were costs incurred in order to produce our stuff. Okay, remember, the cost of an item is your material cost, labor cost, and then obviously your overhead cost. So here under labor, we have to then again add all of the amounts under labor. So let me just do it so that we have a breakdown of that. So here you can see 480 plus 620 plus 2,700, okay, plus 1,650. Okay, let's get our calculator and see what that all adds up to. So 480 plus 620 plus 2700 plus 1650. Okay, so we get 5,450. Okay, done. And then here factory overheads control. Okay, how do we then calculate this? Again, we're using that very same table, but now we're using the application rate. Okay, because remember, this cost is coming about during the course of the year. Okay, so we don't know the actual factory overheads. So we have to use the application rate during the course of the year. So we say to ourselves, what were the total number of, because remember we're using machine hours, what were the total number of machine hours? Okay, and so I added that up. If you add all those up, you're going to get 480 hours. Okay, and I'm just going to do it in front of you now. And this is times 8 Rand. Remember, our absorption rate was 8 Rand per hour. Okay, so I'm just going to do it in front of you now so you can see where is he getting this 480 from. So 150, that's the number of hours for Westwood, plus 220 plus 70 plus 44 Greenwood. Okay, can you see? 480. All right, and then we're saying times 8. Okay, so we're getting 3,840. 3,840. Okay. Okay. All right. So we've got one side. Okay. We've got the one side. Now, here's the tricky bit, because now you're asking yourselves, okay, but we don't know how much we're posting to finished goods because they haven't told us. And we don't know how much we are supposed to actually have in balance carried down. So remember, what we post to finished goods is complete work. Complete work, okay? So complete work, we ask ourselves, what work was not completed? Because most of the stuff was completed. We see that the Greenwood job was done, Northwood job was done, the Southwood job was done. The only job that wasn't done was the Westwood job, okay? So then we have to calculate how much did that job cost us, but we didn't complete. In other words, that's going to be your balance of work in progress, or the balance of the production that hasn't yet been complete. So we're not going to post that to the finished goods. So we then say to ourselves, Westwood was the only one that wasn't completed. So we say Westwood. We know that there's a materials cost, okay, of how much? 2,150. Okay, and then we know that there's also a labor cost of how much? 1,650. And we know that, okay, there is also a overhead, factory overhead, okay, that we need to calculate. So to calculate that, we know we're going to have to say, okay, 150 hours times our rate, absorption rate of 8 Rand per hour. Okay, right, so let's see here. This should be 1,200 if I'm not mistaken. Okay, let's quickly check that. So 6 Oh, why am I saying 6? 8 times 8 times 150. Okay, what do we get? Okay, 1,200. Okay, cool. But then we need to add all these up. Okay, so 1,200 plus 1,650 plus 2,150, we get 5,000. Okay. We get 5,000. So this is the total of the work that has not yet been completed. Okay, it hasn't been completed yet. Okay, so here you're going to have balance carried down of 5,000, and here you're going to have balance brought down of 5,000. Okay, because that work wasn't completed and sold. Okay, so then all we need to do here is then say, okay, cool. Here we can tell this is the bigger side. All right, not all of it is going to be posted to finished goods. So we quickly then calculate what is the total. So we can say 5,000 minus. Okay, no, let's not do that. Let me just keep it simple. 1 plus 8,540 plus 5,450 plus 3,840. Okay, 2,000 and then minus 5,000. Let me just write this down first. 22010. Okay. Let's copy and paste that there. Okay. And then what we have here, posting to finished goods, is going to be the difference between the two. So 5,000 minus 22,000, you're going to get 17, and then 0, 1, 0. Okay, that should be it. Okay, so here in finished goods, can you see? We can just quickly complete that double entry. So here we're going to have 17, 0, 1, 0. Okay, and then here, can you see they've already given us the balance brought down. So here we can just quickly throw in the same amount, 17, 17, 0, 1, 0, 17, 0, 1, 0. And then here, since this is the balance brought down, again, we're just going to subtract. Okay, then minus 137.5. Okay. So this then is what we are posting to cost of sales. Okay, cost of sales. Right, interesting. Okay, interesting. I want to quickly see something here. Just bear with me for 1 second. 5 times 3, 5. Okay. Okay, no, it's fine. All right, I'll have a look at this later. Cool. Just wanted to try out something. Okay. Right, so we've finished with the finished goods. We now know how much we're posting to cost of sales, so we might as well just complete that double entry now. So we go to cost of sales. Oh, it's already completed there by finished goods. Okay, no, that's cool. Okay, are there any other double entries here? So labor control. Here you can see this is obviously production control. So we know we completed this. Let's quickly go to production control for labor. We can just copy this. Again, you can actually just extract this from the table, the first table there, by adding up all those labor costs. All right. Sorry, that's production control. Okay, then here we look for where we had the actual factory overhead. Now we're looking for the indirect labor, and that's where we have the 2,500. Okay. Remember, your factory overheads are costs relating to the production of your products, but not directly related. So that's why we know we're using the indirect labor there. Okay. So we've dealt with that. We've added in those missing pieces. We're done with the labor control. Okay, we now get to here. Factory overheads, the only missing bit, or the two missing bits is production control. Let's see here. We did also plug that in. Production control, we're looking for factory overhead, so here it is. Okay, again, you could just calculate this from scratch if you wanted to by simply saying, okay, factory overheads, we know that the base is machine hours. So again, we just come here and say, what is the total machine hours for all of these projects? We know it was 480 hours. Okay, we get that from the first table there, then times our rate of 8 Rand per hour. Okay, all right, and you can do that, or you can just copy and paste. All right, so we've got that. Then sundry overheads, this is the same as, so I'm just going to put slash, bracket slash, other overheads. Okay, so here is going to be your, if we look under that section again, actual factory overheads for the period were as follows. Other overheads, here you've got 190. Okay, so now we have all the information that we need. We can see this is the big side. Yes, yes, yes. Am I right? Yes. Okay, I think it might actually balance out. Yes, I think so. So let's quickly then calculate. So on the one side, you have, that's going to give you 4,240 on the credit side. Then here, let's say 350 plus 2,500 plus 1,200 plus 190. Okay, we get the exact same thing on both sides. Okay, cool. So that's perfect. 4,240. Yes, I believe that's what we got. 4,240. Correct? Yes. Cool. Okay, and here you can see they plug this amount in for us, but sometimes we actually have to calculate it. And I'm just gonna quickly make it bold, right? Because this would be the balance, the outstanding. You could say this would be us balancing the account. So we'd plug in all this other information. Then we'd say, what are we posting to cost of sales, whether it's over or under applied? It would typically be which side is smaller. Then we'd say this would be your balance CD, to make it easier for you to understand. Okay, since it's here on the credit side, it means that we obviously, because remember these are actual costs, so we're saying that this side is bigger than our production control, how much we actually budgeted our factory overheads to be. So can you see how, since what we budgeted is actually less than what we actually incurred, the 4,240 versus 3,840, all right, there's a difference. So that means that we underapplied. So we need to debit our cost of sales. Remember, cost of sales is an expense. It increases on the debit side, decreases on the credit side. So if we underapplied, it means that our actual factory overheads was less than our budgeted, okay? Now, if we had overapplied, it means that our budgeted would have been greater. So for instance, if we had 5,000 here, that means that our actual is actually short by 760. Okay, so here we would have plugged in the balance CD, the shortfall here on the debit side, which means we would have reduced our cost of sales by 760 because we would have credited the cost of sales account. So here you can actually now see this double entry take place. Can you see factory overheads? Can you see it here? So I'm going to highlight that in bold again. Can you see we're increasing our expense cost of sales because we had under, I'm going to put it here as well, under applied. Okay. make that a bit neater. Okay, we had under applied. Okay, so there we go. So here now we have our finished goods and we have our factory overheads. So we just total that. Let's see, what does that come to? What does that come to? Oh, actually in the book, actually totaled it for us. So we didn't need to calculate that. So 17,272.50. Okay, and then obviously this gets posted. Remember, we are at at year end. We close the cost of sales account to the trading account. So that's what we are doing by making this entry on the credit side to bring it to 0. Okay, so that's your 7.5. I don't know if you guys have any questions, any thoughts from your side. Nothing from your side. Okay, not a problem, not a problem. So at least I'm going to post this on YouTube. So again, you can run through it. I just advise that you go through the example. The example, what's it called? The example, example 7.6. And then also just run through this. Everything will flow then nicely for you. You'll understand exactly what's happening. Okay. So that is 7.5. We then move to 7.6. A lot easier. It's more of what we did last week. Okay. Here, all we are literally doing is we are posting in the information given to us and then calculating the actual, calculating the required stuff there. So I'm just going to read the required. So under required, it says calculate the total cost for the batch, total cost for the batch. That's the first thing they want us to do. Remember, before we were only calculating the total cost of a project. Now we're calculating the total cost of a batch. Can you see we have different projects here? All right, we have the material, we have, blanking, and then we have assembling, and then we also have finishing. So those are the 3 projects that we have. So we get the total cost of production, then we get the total overhead costs, and we're adding in then the general overhead costs, and then that's how we get the total batch. All right, so a batch is literally just more than one. It's like a bundle. Think of a bundle. So you can get a toothbrush, you can get toothpaste, and then you can also get what? Dental floss. Can you see that is a bundle? Okay, so a batch is like that as well. Okay, more than one thing mixed together. Okay, all right. So let's read about this thing. It says, right. What is it saying here? Under the required, I don't know if I read the calculate the cost of the batch. That's the first thing they want. Second thing, the unit cost, and then third thing, profit per unit. Okay. So here, what's important is being able to put your information in an orderly fashion, and you'll see why that's so important. And I think I showed you guys some of this in the last lesson that we had. Okay. So it says an order of 150 brackets were received and was manufactured as job 775. Okay, the job passed through 3 cost centers. Okay, blanking, assembling, finishing, whose overhead and absorption basis and rates are as follows. Okay, so for blanking, you've got machine hours. For assembling, you've got labor hours. And then for finishing, you have labor hours as well. But can you see something interesting? They've actually calculated the absorption rates for us. Okay, they've given us the basis and they've calculated the absorption rates for us. Can you see they didn't give us the budgeted overhead? All right. So that has just made our lives easier. Okay, then they say number of units produced, 150. Selling price per unit, 50 Rand. Okay, cool. Then it goes on to say The following production costs and data were recorded for job 775. Direct materials. Okay, you've got your direct materials there, and they say 630. These things, but then you should know, okay, this was recorded, that means that this was the actual cost. Direct labor, then they break it down. For blanking, 80 hours at 5 Rand 50 per hour, assembling 140 hours at 4 Rand each, sorry, per hour, and then finishing 60 hours at 4 Rand 50 per hour. Okay, cool. So now we already know direct materials, the full cost there was 630. Okay, so we can plug that in. Then here we know we need to calculate. For blanking, it was based on machine hours. How many machine hours did we have? We had 80. Okay, and it was at a rate of, sorry, let me actually write that, 80 hours. Okay, then here we have a rate of 5.5 per hour. Let's expand this a bit. Expand this a bit. Okay, we'll times these things just now. Let's just fill in the information. Here we have assembling. Assembling was on direct labor, so 140 hours. Okay, the rate was how much? 4 Rand per hour. Okay, right. Then direct labor for finishing. Wait. We don't have for assembling, I don't have for finishing. So let me quickly, I skipped one here. Let me insert above. Okay, so this was actually, let me undo that. Let me insert below. I will change this just now. Okay, right. Let's do this. Copy and paste. Okay, and then here we want to make this assembling. Okay, then here finishing is also direct labor hours, so this was 60 hours. Okay, and then here we know that the rate is how much? How much did they say the rate was? 4 Rand 50. Okay, so then we have to just times these. Okay, so let's do that first. So 80 times 5 Rand 50, we get 440. Are 440, and then here, let's see, we say 140 times 4, okay, 560. Okay, and then here we have 60 times 450. Okay, we have 470. I mean 270. All right, awesome stuff. And then here we have production overheads. Production overheads. Remember, we do production overheads. Overheads to be applied to job 750. Okay. So there they've given us the hours. We know that again for blanking we're using machine hours. Okay, because that first table tells us the basis there is machine hours. So again, here, oh, so this was actually a mistake. Here I'm actually, because this was in relation to direct labor, not in relation to, sorry, not in relation to the production overheads. My bad. Okay, so here now, here we are going to plug this in here for blanking, 40 hours, and the rest we know is direct labor. So this one is 140 hours, and here 60 hours. Okay, cool. And the rate, the absorption rate, over here, the absorption rate is 20 per hour. And here the rate is 9 Rand per hour. And here the rate is 12 per hour. Okay, awesome. So then 20, quickly you can say this is 80, 2 zeros, this is going to be 800. Hope I'm correct. Right, then 9 times, okay, I'm not about to try to do that in my head. Let's quickly see. 9 times 140. What do we get? Hey? Equals, okay, 1,260. 1,260. Okay. And then here finally, what do we get? 12 times 60. 12 times 60, 12 times 60. Okay, 720. 720. So R 720. Okay, right. So can you see we've calculated everything? Remember, the cost of a job, the cost of a product, we're saying direct materials, direct labor, and then your overhead, okay? So we're just pretty much just adding up all these costs in order to get to our total cost, okay? And I'll tell you what that cost should then, you should arrive at, 4,680. Okay, that's what you should get. And then general overheads in the question, they said, additionally, general overheads are applied to job 775 at a rate of 10% of total production cost. So here to get, let me do it here. Just want to bring this back. We can do it here. So we're saying 10%, so 0.10 times 4,680. Okay, and that you can actually work out in your head, because that's obviously just drop a 0 there, so that's going to be 468. Okay, then you add that and you're going to get your total batch cost. Okay, your total batch cost, let's quickly add that. Okay, so that's now your total cost, which is 5, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. What did we get? I think 6848. 48. Okay, so we finished the first bit. They wanted us to quickly calculate the total cost for the batch. Okay, the per unit cost. Okay, we're just gonna finish this because it's just two easy ones, and then I'm gonna give you guys a break. So just hang in there for me, 2 seconds. Okay, so here the total cost. Remember there, the 2 bullet points there, you see number of units produced was 150. So all we're saying here is to get the cost per unit 148 divided by 150. Okay, and then you get your unit cost. Okay, which is what? Let's quickly see. divided by 150. Okay, 34.32. So 34.332. Okay, right. And the last bit. Okay, I want to calculate it, the profit per unit. Okay, so we have the cost per unit. All right, then they've given us the selling price per unit, which is the 50 Rand. So 50 Rand, which is the selling price, minus your cost per unit, which is 34.32. You get what? You see here, okay, minus 50, and you get 1568. That's your profit per unit. Oopsie, don't know what I pressed over there. So 1568, I believe it was. Double check. Yeah, 1568. Okay, so we've done 7.5 and we have dealt with 7.6. Okay, the last thing I want us to do is 7.7, and then that is it for today and for the semester. So guys, quickly just take a quick 10-minute break there, and then we'll quickly do 7.7. It's pretty straightforward, and I think that shouldn't take us longer than 10-15 minutes, and then I'll let you guys go. I don't know if there are any questions. If there are, feel free to ask. If not, you can leave them in the chat, and then obviously when we get back, I'll address those first thing before we proceed with 7.7. All right, awesome. So let's take that break. I'll see you guys at 16:20.